something that I'm sure you and I have both been sitting on for a really long time, is kind of wrapping our head around the immense perception and massive levels of scale that we exist on in the digital space. And I would say that first and foremost, like, we are the luckiest people in the whole world, right?
Of course.
Have the luckiest jobs in the entire world. We get paid to be at home and like record on these little tablets. Like, we are the luckiest people in the whole world. And I would say that first and foremost, my approach to understanding how big my reach is by sitting with the gratitude. Like, that is something I spend most of my time doing. I rarely let the kind of negative aspects of being on this massive scale take over my being. It is, of course, impossible not to let it affect you at all, because I think with massive reach comes the inevitable hate train that everyone experiences.
Absolutely.
I would say a concerted effort to put that to rest and not let it affect your being is the most important thing you can do when you're on this level, when you have this kind of scale. But I really just see it from like a gratitude perspective. I have really very little thoughts and opinions on my own public persona beyond, wow, I am the luckiest girl in the whole world. Like, how is this my life? How did I get so unbelievably lucky to get here? Everything else I try really hard to not focus on, because it's none of my business, beyond just sitting with the gratitude of it all.
I understand. And I love that. I think when it comes to this stuff, you're right, and we talked about it before, it happens real quick. It's in your face, and by the time you don't feel it until after it's done, right? I mean, for ourselves, working, it kind of started with Kevin Hart, which is a wild sentence to say, but it started with Kevin Hart and then went to Method Man, and then from there, Donald Glover. And from those experiences, the thing that I've learned is, we talked about it before, where it costs absolutely nothing to just try to be a good person. And it costs nothing to try to really sit and learn about who you're with.
Absolutely.
And with the most recent one with Donald, I mean, not only Donald and Method Man, all of them, they were so gracious as to allow me in their space. They were so gracious as to sit down and really talk with me, and to let me know who they are as human beings, and to take a chance with me. I mean, again, I was a person that's going up to them being like, hey, I have a really fun idea. Please trust me. And they did. And I was so grateful for that. And again, the immediate response after that happened was, again, a lot more attention and a lot more things, of course. And I tell people this all the time: as much as you don't want to really acknowledge the fact that there's a gigantic wave of people that are now coming in to be more interested in your life, and family members you haven't talked to in forever or ever, and friends that you haven't seen in so long, now they're interested in what you're doing. There is a immediate level of responsibility that you have when it comes to, again, putting things out into the world, right? I want to make sure that people know, young and old alike, that I understand that there's a responsibility with this. It is not to be taken lightly. It is to understand that I want to give my absolute best to the audience as much as I possibly can.
Of course.
The things I like to keep close to me is faith and family. And as long as those keep centered, everything else can happen as long as I keep those two things close to me.